Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Ace and Ektar Heroes of the Storm casting podcast. I'm still Ektar, and he's still Ace. How are you doing tonight, Ace?
I'm doing pretty good. I've played I think every Blizzard game that I own in the last 72 hours, so I've had quite a variety of interesting and fun things.
So I guess which Blizzard games have you not played then?
The WoWs.
That's fair.
Just any Warcrafts. I played the Cardstone, but not obviously. But I haven't played the Warcraft.
I haven't played Warcraft since the remastered came out. There was a lot of negative feedback about it, and I just haven't really had the need to go back and replay Calling of Stratholme quite yet.
Fair enough, you know. One of my check his match history, Deckard Soul. One of my friends is playing through WoW occasionally, and I see him on my friends list. It's like Night Elf campaign Maiev, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should pick that up. And then I'm like, calm down, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are not here for Warcraft. We are here for, half of Warcraft. In Heroes of the Storm, we have a Division B East semifinal match between Tiny Dancers and Uncomfortably Numb. And because we're on the preview screen, we can already see how we got here because Tiny Dancers are the first seed. They get their choice of hero pick or map pick. They chose first pick, Uncomfortably Numb, banned out Battlefield of Eternity and Brex's Holdout. Tiny Dancers banned out Tomb of the Spider Queen and Sky Temple. So for game number 1, we are going to Infernal Shrines with the Alarak getting banned out first thing.
Yep, it's pretty reasonable ban here.
Yeah.
A little different on Shrine, so definitely a target. Although I shut the garage door. I'll be right back. Lock my roommate out. Go on there.
Fantastic. So Alarak has been played 6 times during the regular season by Uncomfortably Numb, and he's got a fairly high win rate for them. So definitely a little bit of a target ban coming out. The Garrosh is also a target ban, 9 times played by the Tiny Dancers, and ETC getting banned out. Not only has he been played quite a lot, he's also just one of the 2 tanks that people play, with Johanna the ban being the other major one. And we're going to have the first pickup on Zool, which is a really strong pickup on this map. There's a lot of wave clear potential that you can just push with, and Zool is a force multiplier in the lane. So I'd love to see a Zool pickup whenever he's not banned out. Plus, he's one of the most played bruisers by Tiny Dancers, so they feel very comfortable with this hero.
Yeah, for sure. If I remember correctly, against us, Durtan's Couch, they did bottom lane soak, double soak with Zool or something like that, or they use all sorts of double soak Zool strats, and then watch for them to draft like a double tank hyper push comp for the rest of their draft. So
also,
that's what's been working for them. They
really like Arthas. Both Liddell and Silver have played Arthas kind of on and off, depending on if they're going to be playing him as a bruiser or a tank. And even within that subset, they seem to swap back and forth depending on what the rest of the team comp is looking like. So Arthas is a very comfortable and flexible pick that Tiny Dancers loves to put into their comps. And it works really well with Bloodlust Rhaegar, who's all the rage these days.
Good pun there.
Was not even meant as a pun. It just happens.
But it works.
On the other side, Deckard is like one of the other really common supports these days ever since the Ruby buff, and Tassadar, he's just kind of supplanted Kael'thas as the mage that you pick up when you want a mage.
I mean, he's good. He's
really
got
is.
a crap ton of wave clear.
He's got a crap ton of hero damage.
Yeah, his beam go burr, and then the whole team dies, basically. Like, I think the bigger thing that sets him apart, though, is the fact that his ultimate is, like, fight-changing. Kael'thas has Pyro, which can be questionable, and Phoenix, which has, like, moderate impact. But Archon is, like, oh my god, it's insane! And that's where I think Tassadar really shines above Kael.
Yeah, I agree. And although you have maybe more consistent potential crowd control with the gravity lapse, I think Force Wall is a bigger playmaker. Then again, I just love Force Wall to an unhealthy degree. Cassia getting picked up. It's a little surprising to me she got this far into draft before she got picked up because she's got a ridiculous win rate. And Blaze is a nice, kind of okay tank. He's good enough on this map for sure.
He functions as a tank and, you know, will be used in such a way in this scenario. So, you know, it'll work. We'll see what the offlaner is here for Uncomfortably Numb. And it's a Sonya. Pretty good for the map.
So even though Tassadar is all the rage in the meta, Kael'thas is definitely still the go-to for Tiny Dancers. They've played him 13 times in their 20-something games this season. So,
I see you've got Stats of the Storm pulled up now.
Nope, I have a piece of paper. That way I can have relevant stats all the time and not have to pull them up on the fly because I am still a single monitor.
That is impressive, though. You should write Stats of the Storm on top, so I'm technically correct.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that as we have the game screen loading.
Fantastic. Don't forget to flip over off the overlay. And, yeah, I like the comp that Uncomfortably Numb has put together, just because they've got such great heroes overall. The Tiny Dancers got what they wanted to get, I can imagine, with Zul, Arthas, Kael'thas, and even a Rhaegar in there. So I can't really argue against them.
Yeah, the onus is definitely going to be, I think, on Uncomfortably Numb to deal with the things that the Tiny Dancers are doing. Oh my gosh, I updated to Aliabs and everything's different now. Anywho, we have spawning on the left-hand side in the Blue Trunks, #1 seed out of B East, the Tiny Dancers, with Liddell playing Zul, Materium playing Rhaegar, Fishing Queen on Kael'thas, Feldroth on Vala, and Silver on Arthas.
And on the right side of the map, in the Red Trunks, we've got the 5th seed Uncomfortably Numb. We've got Famous on Blaze, THC Spectre on Cassia, Mr. Monkey Man on Sonya, Novus on Tassadar, and Patches soloing the core on Deckard.
Yeah, I apologize in advance. My overlays are not going to look right anymore, so I'll have to fix this at some later
that's
time
the
in the
Blizzard
future.
UI. That's a Blizzard UI.
Yeah,
so
so
you go to
fix that
Options,
after.
Observe a Replay, and it'll change it.
Option. We're going to do that right now. Observe a replay, Aliabs, turn to game, and then it will likely update for game 2.
Probably.
Yeah.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah, it happens.
It does be like that, because you add a new file, and Blizzard's like, wow, you want Blizzard UI, right?
That's okay. We do have a little bit of early extra wave clear coming out from Zul in the top lane. He's actually rotating kind of mid-top, which is not really the standard way you would double soak on this map because of how far apart it is, but you know what? It's Zul. He can just kind of get away with that, and allows the rest of his team to push on bot lane like this is Towers of Doom.
Yep, there is a decent amount of push here with the Kael'thas and the Vala for Tiny Dancers, so they do have the capability to at least get down a fort, or get down a tower within about 2 cycles of being able to push into it, so...
Very early bot camp coming out from the side of the Tiny Dancers, which trades very nicely with their opponent's side camp. Definitely slight advantage there for the Tiny Dancers getting the neutral camp.
Yep. Mr. Monkey Man is going into the double soaking Sonya, which actually has a good chance of at least catching up with the Zul and not missing any soak, because Sonya does have pretty fantastic wave clear as far as the bruisers go, but will start to lose structures because the Zul minions just push so well.
That Khazra camp actually did a fair amount of damage to the heroes of Uncomfortably Numb. A little bit of charge there coming out onto Silver, but he's likely going to be able to stick away. It takes a little bit of damage, but actually got a fair bit of damage with that follow-on route there. He's going to have to probably go all the way back very low, actually. Barely gets out alive.
Yeah, sub 50 hit points on that escape there, so...
Actually ups to tap instead of going full back.
Yeah, that's, it is past the 1 minute mark, so I have to scorn this decision heavily. I mean, that's what I have to do against the #1 seed that knocked us out.
I mean,
right?
And he's only going to be at about 70-something% hit points when his objective's coming up.
Yeah, that is true. Rhaegar does not have good passive throughput healing, and those aren't his potions.
Nope. We do have Bruiser Camps being picked up now by both sides. A little bit faster for the side of the Tiny Dancers. And it's going in through top lane, so it'll be somewhat easy to clear, but not super easy.
Yeah, but they will be matched up pretty identically overall, so the winner of this like lane phase right here should have an advantage in the Bruiser Camp War. So Mr. Monkey Man spending just a little bit of extra time clearing out the wave and giving his Bruiser Camp an advantage.
Yeah, but that advantage in lane is giving over a 12 Shrine Monkey advantage to the Tiny Dancers right now. Root coming out onto Blaze, but no follow-up, so you can just walk out of there. Ruby coming down pretty well. A huge Root coming out from Deckard, followed by the Spear from Sonya is going to secure 1-2 kills. Liddell might be able to make it out of there, but that should be more than enough to even out the Shrine Monkeys, if not secure the objective entirely.
Yeah, that was a really fantastic route into jet propulsion, which will guarantee hit everybody every single time. And then a good force wall to trap them all in against it. So, really nice engagement early from Uncomfortably Numb. Looking quite solid right now.
Yeah, and we have the level 7s now in favor of Uncomfortably Numb that Tiny Dancers won't be able to get for another couple of seconds. So that might just be the first objective going over in favor of Uncomfortably Numb.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a rough fight. Vala pushing up in the top lane, so it definitely looks like Tiny Dancers are opting to give away this objective and allow Uncomfortably Numb to grab the first Punisher, which is a Mortar Punisher.
And we got a pause.
Always got to pause.
We did have Sonya split out into the bot lane during a lot of that, so that's a big part of how they got that XP advantage that they had. No one was matching Zool and Vala in the top lane, so that mostly makes up for it. Captain's girlfriend is watching Netflix.
Nice. Get off Netflix. We just won the first objective and I can't lag.
You know, I have had issues where having my stream preview play in the background causes me to lag out, so I always need to make sure to get that paused, otherwise we drop a lot of frames in-game.
That is in the OBS or on Twitch?
On Twitch.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely can. So. Oop, she's not getting off Netflix. Rip my terrible internet.
Alternatively, that means that they're not watching Netflix, and it's just the internet's bad. That's how I took it.
Oh, that is... Yeah, that's accurate.
I mean, you can parse it either way. I just think mine makes a little more sense.
I agree with you.
Alright, so checking out some of the other heroes right now. We do have patches on the Thrallr bill, so definitely a man of culture right there.
I need to assign more heroes to the Thrallr bill, y'all.
THC Spectre rocking the relatively new Cassia skin, which looks incredible. And good for her, because she didn't have a good skin before.
Yeah, strong agree. Alright, I don't think we're referees, so they're counting this in.
Yep. And
cool.
We're back. Big jump in onto Arthas, who... One of his kind of weaknesses on this map in particular is he does not have a self-unstoppable, so if there was follow-up from the side of Uncomfortably Numb, that Arthas could be dead right now.
Yeah, and that could be a factor later, past the first objective, when the Punishers get a little scarier.
Big fact. Silver did have to tap and is going to be relatively good after that. Missing a little bit of XP in the bot lane, they're going to try and rotate on it now. They'll miss a couple of XP globes, but not too much. They actually rotated Cassia into the top lane to try and deal with the Zool. I don't know how that lane matchup goes.
Neutral, because Cassia stands back and doesn't do anything while Zool clears an entire wave. So, that's how every hero is against Zool. Well, I guess he cleared everything.
Yeah, Quick can't pick up both in the bot and mid for Tiny Dancers and Uncomfortably Numb respectively, and they're just going to go ahead and clear again. Liddell trying to maintain this double soak thing, but Zool doesn't actually kill a camp very fast. He kills it okay. But he already popped his Curse Strike, so it's not going to be available for the entirety of this minion wave, but gosh, that's actually so much more effective than I thought it would be.
Well, he has a cooldown reduction on 4, so he basically has it all the time. If you hit it, what is it? Yeah, can reduce the cooldown by up to 12 seconds, which you get almost every single time. So, yeah, it's ridiculous how much wave clear you get out of that talent. It is actually obscene.
Famous in a bit of a gank-areno position, but no one's actually going to take the bait there, which isn't really surprising because they haven't been rotating mid. They've just been letting Zool take care of that. We do have the 10s inbound now for the side of Uncomfortably Numb. They got the Wrath of the Berserkers, the Stay a While Listen, and 3 big ol' question marks still.
It's my favorite ultimate in the game. We do have Archon, not much of a surprise there. Blaze and Caustic could be up in the air.
You could see Black Hole as a counter engage to the Bloodlust, which we see. It is Valkyrie and the Bunker Drop.
Oof. I wonder if that was a panic pickup for the situation that Famous was just in as Valkyrie was, because he was in a little bit of trouble and might have just needed the bunker to escape that.
You know, I think it might be an attempt at countering Bloodlust as well.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to chunk through the bunker, but when you get out, you get 25 armor for those couple of seconds, which can be really nice.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and you can... It's always funny fitting things in the bunker like a giant Archon.
Yeah. For the rest of the ults, we do have the Rain of Vengeance, the Army of the Dead, we mentioned the Bloodlust, Poison Nova, and finally the Phoenix, which, as noted, a little bit less of an impactful ult than Archon. That's okay.
Yeah. Root coming out onto Famous. Don't think anything will come of that, as one Rain of Vengeance charge is used, so there will be only one available for this upcoming top objective. Uncomfortably Numb going to get Bruiser Camp, and you know, it's in the top lane. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it's there for the XP.
Yeah, it's worth like 200 XP maybe. Tiny Dancers do get the initial positioning on this objective and get 9 minions before anyone from Uncomfortably Numb shows up. But that's not a huge lead. It will definitely come down to whoever wins this team fight more convincingly. Valkyrie comes out, hits onto nothing. But honestly, you just kind of need one really great pick with Valkyrie to make that pickup worth it.
Yeah, it's a very true one. I do like Ball Lightning right now for the blow-up burst combo, but nonetheless. Oh, they find a attack on the Monkey Man, drops the Wrath of the Berserker to counter, and that triggers all the R buttons to be pressed, and first to go down is Cassia for the side of Uncomfortably Numb, but Silver is quite low, and it looks like the remaining 4 health bars doing quite well for Uncomfortably Numb, so they're going to try and take position on the point.
Yeah, Famous does go in for a charge, which he does land, but no one's quite close enough for a decent follow-up. Patch is pretty far out right now. You could get caught by Gravity Lapse there. Not finding it. Famous does get caught with the root, does not have his Unstoppable available. He's going to start taking quite a bit of damage. Mr. Monkey Man comes in to try and heal, but is not able to find it successfully. Just puts himself into a bit of a rough spot, and this should be objective going over in favor of the Tiny Dancers. Mr. Monkey Man still trying to find something out onto Silver, but if they're able to find a crowd control, that could be a very dead Sonya very fast.
Yeah, Blaze was so close to 6 Ruby potions that would have kept him alive and probably turned the entire fight, because, you know, that's what happens when you invest every single cooldown your team has into a hero and then they don't die. So, very close fight there, even down 4v5.
As a reminder for all the mathematics fans out there, 5 rubies heals for more than Ancestral. So if you hit 2 people with a ruby, it's an incredible amount of healing.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild. So Punisher is getting cleaned up, same time as the 4. I think both will go down without too much more conflict, and yep, pretty even game overall.
We did have Zool rotate out and split soaking that whole time. They were even able to pick up the bottom camp, as again, that's 3 neutral camps that the Tiny Dancers have picked up in a row.
Yeah, they've definitely had the map presence due to the Zool just being able to do a little bit more around the map. And that's something that they've been able to do, not just this set, but all season.
Yeah, that's... If you can say one thing about Tiny Dancers, it's they just do a little bit more. Big engagement coming out onto Famous, but does have the Unstoppable available to get out. However, the root comes out onto Sonya. They pop the Wrath of the Berserker to reduce the reduction of that CC. Trying to turn around and getting a lot of damage into Vala. The Bloodlust gets popped as they disengage and counter-engage. Mr. Monkey Man going in very low. Lots of damage being put out into Liddell as well. Zool is barely able to get out of there. Mr. Monkey Man very low as well. Silver is the second one to fall after Blaze. Mr. Monkey Man going to be the third to fall as well. And a very close team fight that just goes in favor of the Tiny Dancers, but just barely.
My goodness. Mr. Monkey Man was, again, he dropped the Wrath of the Berserker, was whirlwinding on the Vala, got very low, and was headed towards, again, 6 Ruby Potions, and then just disappeared when he walked to him. And it was just... That was a big difference in the fight, because that forced a retreat out of the front line of Uncomfortably Numb, and they weren't able to finish off the kills. So again, these team fights are very, very close right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a game that can go in either team's favor if they take even fights. We've already seen that 3 times now.
Yep. But it is right now Tiny Dancers having the advantage of not taking even fights, as they are going up level 16 very, very shortly due to the hard work of Liddell. So, yeah, they'll have that advantage. Yeah, they do get caught, but there are only 3 heroes here. So, 3v5 is a little scary situation for Uncomfortably Numb, and they're going to have to retreat out. Cassia gets all of her EHP removed by the roots, and that means she is taken out quickly, and this fort is basically for the taking of Tiny Dancers.
Even Alarak would have been pleased with the number of potions on the ground just there.
Is this the best healing you can do? Actually, it's a ton.
Yeah, it really is. Feldroth looking for an engagement of the Novus is really far out, but just not quite enough bodies existing in the bottom lane to secure the kill out on Navala there.
Blessing upon friends!
Yep, very close though. Level 16 was picked up for Uncomfortably Numb, so that'll give them a recontest ability once the Cassia shows up out of the spawn.
Yeah, and both teams picking up that level 16. We've got full auto attack build coming out from Vala, which you don't see as often these days, but it's been doing really well in these team fights, and she hasn't been punished too hard for Vala's low auto attack range.
I wonder if that's a wrong talent on 7, though. You almost always see Death Dealer when you go auto attack build. Sonya gonna go in comboed with the Stay a While to counteract the Bloodlust, but Monkey Man very, very low again. The Poison Nova hitting onto 5 members. Bunker comes down to cleanse off that DOT, but they're already down a member. No Ruby Potions in the fight, and GHC Spectre's taken out, but takes out Silver, and Liddell as well. So even fight coming in with 20 Shrine Minions picked up for both sides.
Yeah, oh my gosh, if Tassadar keeps landing those Sidestorm empowered Qs, though, it's not going to be an even fight for very long. Famous goes in for a jump propulsion, but misses because of the Force Wall. Novus finding the Sidestorm, but not the follow-on Q, and Rhaegar's just holding down the point, man. He was just ignoring that team fight and getting Shrine Minions, and I can't really fault him for that, because they're still 9 ahead, although a big stun and root combo coming out. Not going to quite land on the Materium there. Feldroth is very low, and the auto attack from Tassadar is actually going to secure the kill there. The shielding on level 4 is putting in a ton of work actually right now. He's taking a lot of chip damage, but it's not getting to his hit points.
Yeah, that level 4 Tassadar talent matters. Ooh, nice snipe from Kael'thas is going to cost Fishing Queen their life, or at least their mana barrier.
Cooldown, yeah.
Yep. Oh, Patch has just pulled a bunch of Shrine Minions directly towards the side of Tiny Dancers. 38 to 33. Kael'thas almost certainly going to be taken out here. So regardless of result, which does go to Tiny Dancers, they're not going to have a very effective push.
No, I think that they can clear this relatively far out. They're actually giving quite the runaround to Materium as well, who's not going to get out. And this objective, although it went to Tiny Dancers, technically, overall the fight went in the way of Uncomfortably Numb in the end.
Yeah, as you're mentioning, that level 4 Tassadar talent scales so well as a fight breaks down and fewer sources of damage are introduced. And it put in the work in that fight. So really nice job sticking in it with Uncomfortably Numb and catching 2 kills right when they went down players as well. They
rotated too many people out of here too fast. This fort's gonna die. That didn't need to happen. That didn't need to happen. It keeps Sonya there for 4 more seconds and it goes down without the fort dying, I think.
Yeah, albeit it's still very low on health at any point and probably just gets sneezed to death, but it is a little bit of a...
Yeah.
It would require a little bit of investment from Tiny Dancers.
Yeah, but at least it would have stopped the catapults from forming up. The trickle XP
Yeah.
is probably not going to make a huge difference this game, but it would have required some kind of investment from their opponents.
What if it's a galactic brain move to time out the catapults in such a way that they're not there before the objective? What if that's the case, Hector?
Then they are a smarter group of individuals than I am, or even than I know in this game, and bravo, well done, and please teach me your ways.
It's a great way of putting that.
We're going to have the level 20s on board for both teams by the time the objective is coming in. Looking at some of the other talents that we already have had so far, we've actually got safety and numbers coming up from Deckard Cain, which you don't see very often, but I think Infernal Shrines is one of the maps that it works kind of well on, because the teamfights are so enclosed and grouped up all the time. We have the 20s now available for the side of Uncomfortably Numb. We have the improved Wrath of the Berserker, letting you get the Unstoppable, which has... You know, Sonya's been stopped a lot during Wrath, so being able to get the Unstoppable might actually be more valuable than the Pain Suppression. We do have the improved Bunker Drop, letting them put the oil spills out. Twilight Archon, which is huge, and the Forever Potions from Deckard Cain. Huge stay while coming, actually hitting several members. But it's actually Cassia is the first to fall here because she didn't have any of that EHP, like you said, because her armor was 0 that whole time.
Yeah, that's a big part of Cassia, and she's very, very weak to stuns, almost as much as any here in the game. Novus now being chased down on the Tassadar, grabs the 30 spell armor, and with Deckard, it's just not quite enough. Mr. Monkey Man also taken out, so really I think this is the first fight in the game that's resulted in a decisive victory, and it is the Tiny Dancers post-20.
Yeah, I would agree. Check out the rest of level 20s. We have Rancor, not opting for the Farflight Flight Quiver. We've got Flamethrower, Improved Poison Nova, Anti-Magic Shell. You don't see that pick up very often. And Cassia is the Titan's Revenge auto attacks ignoring armor and extra damage when you're fully armored.
Cassia's got good talents, that is.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. Titan's Revenge. Oh, yeah. It was showing me the wrong thing. Nice.
So top keep goes down. They're not going to try and push in here because it's too soon for the rest of the team coming up to actually try and make a play for the core, but you know the objective's going to push in top lane. If they're able to get it, then it's going to push onto an empty core. And you know what? That catapult is right here in lane. Patches is going to be able to clear that somewhat. And there won't be another one spawning for another wave or two, so maybe it is a 1000 IQ play coming out from the side of Uncomfortably Numb.
I knew it. However, they are showing up to this objective very late. 30 skeletal defenders already picked up 4 Tiny Dancers, so Uncomfortably Numb going to have to force a fight or force positioning. And they've done that with the Wrath of the Berserker, but now Tiny Dancers are just going to walk away and let that expire soon-ish.
And they have catapults in. Oh, big pull coming out from Cassia, but they're crowd controlled and into death immediately, but they find the kill out on Azul first. Famous is pretty in there, but the Bloodlust comes out, and it's the improved Bloodlust, so it's going to last for 16 seconds, which is ludicrously long. Mr. Monkey Man is very low. Gonna have to try and pick up that big potion. He does get it in time. Bloodlust is still at about 5 seconds. Novus is kind of low and is going to get popped next. Silver getting low, but the Gravilapse hitting onto Sonya is going to keep him alive. Materium goes in to try and get the kill out onto Sonya, and as this fight goes on, just with the fewer members, they're not going to be able to keep this fight going. And it looks like it's going to go in favor of Tiny Dancers. Mr. Monkey Man has sustained for a long time, but is finally going to go down. Famous is still poking around, but they need to get out of there. They're not going to get out of there. Feldroth's going to just chase him down from here. Patches maybe gets out, but also maybe doesn't. And I don't, frankly, know if it even matters at this point.
No, with the staggered deaths, only Cassia and maybe Tassadar are going to be up for the, as you previously mentioned, open core defense for this 5-man push from Tiny Dancers and the Punisher, which is an arcane one. So very, very tough defense required, if not nearly impossible for Uncomfortably Numb.
I don't know if the math supports an Uncomfortably Numb defense here, but I'd love to see it.
Yep, the proof has not been generated. Cassia goes for a flank and evaporates.
Yeah.
And I think it gone from unlikely to impossible. As
God,
the
that's a lot of theoretical healing, but it is not going to be able to heal the core back up, and that is going to be game number 1 going over in favor of the Tiny Dancers.
Whew. Strong game until 20, where both teams really were in it, and then 2 decisive team fights post 20 just tilted that seesaw directly in the favor of Tiny Dancers.
You know, I don't like to call individual performance too hard, but Cassia did not end up doing a lot that game. She got CC'd unto death quite a bit. Like,
Yeah.
Tiny Dancers knew how to deal with that hero.
Yeah, absolutely. That is especially on Tiny Dancers. I believe the Reign of Vengeance was the leading CC a lot of the time against a Cassia Fen dive. I think that's what I saw a lot of the time.
Also, the Arthas point-and-click route as soon as the Fend was put down, and then Cassia is relatively squishy and got killed to death quite a bit.
Yeah, especially after 16 with the Remorseless Winter. Once you're in that area for a second and a quarter, you get rooted. Or maybe it's 3 and a quarter, or 3 and some 5. I forget exactly how the talent works because I was invited to the next lobby.
So fast.
So fast.
I was still on a summary screen at that time.
Yeah. I was too. And that just makes it so Fend is such a commitment that Cassia is guaranteed to get rooted afterwards. So look, if they want to run the Cassia again, I think Uncomfortably Numb has to deal with the Arthas in the ban phase or not go with Cassia.
Yeah,
I think that
I think
counter
so.
is there.
And you know what? Uncomfortably Numb, they play a fair bit of Arthas, so they could just take it away from them.
Always possible.
Alrighty, so we have our map number 2 is going to be Alterac Pass as chosen by the Tiny Dancers. So Uncomfortably Numb going for that first hero pick as most teams have been doing this season. So no real surprise to see that pick up here.
Yep. Would agree with that. So, do I have any information on how many times the Tiny Dancers have gone here? I can shortly.
Tiny Dancers have chosen Alterac Pass twice in the regular season. I can't tell you how many times they went there total, but they went there. They chose to go there twice.
On their own volition twice.
Yes.
Well, heroesprofile.com is currently giving me the nice spinning loading icon, so
Big fan.
my favorite.
Hello Twitch chat. Hello Jinxie Cat. How's everyone doing tonight?
They have been there 4 times total with 100% win rate.
That sounds familiar.
Their only map with 100% win rate.
Alright, and we're going to be getting into game number 2, as mentioned, Alterac Pass, chosen by the Tiny Dancers. And you know what? There's something that we forgot to mention during the previous game and draft.
What would that be, Ektar?
That would be Portrait Synergy. One team had it and one team didn't. And you know what? The team that had it won.
Causation and correlation are completely thrown out the window. Who needs it?
Exactly. So in the previous series, Tiny Dancers did win during the regular season over Uncomfortably Numb. It was a 2-1. And I don't remember. I didn't actually figure out what was map number 3, but Tiny Dancers won Towers of Doom and Uncomfortably Numb won on Volskaya Foundry. I don't know how much we can glean off of that information, but you know what? Facts are facts.
They are facts. Looking at Tiny Dancers, they definitely have a penchant for the double tank comps. They've taken 4 different tanks, a total of twice each.
They've taken ETC and Johanna in the same drafts.
Yes.
Like, repeatedly. And, you know, I can't even fault them too much for that.
Good heroes.
Either one of them can be a functional offlaner, and being able to prevent your opponents from picking up ETC and Johanna while at the same time acquiring ETC and Johanna, like, it sounds really good on paper.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who had to play against this and try and help formulate a game plan. Not entirely sure what you do about the double tank. Do you take away a bunch of tanks? I mean, they've played 4 different ones on this map. It's a tough decision. They've also played Falstad a bunch and Kael'thas a bunch. So it's a very, just like comfort picks kind of cookie cutter composition for them. There's ETC, there's Jim, who has not been played by them yet this season on this map. So, you know.
Yeah, and you know what? Both of these teams have shown a propensity that can do something a little bit weird every now and then. Definitely more Uncomfortably Numb than Tiny Dancers, but, you know, Tiny Dancers have played the Lost Vikings twice in the regular season, whereas Uncomfortably Numb have run the comps of Juice Pirates, a comp with Valera. They've ran Nazebo, which isn't bad out there, but they've also run Abathur Murky. In fact, they ran Abathur Murky against Tiny Dancers in their original series. It didn't win, but they did it, and it was really cool to watch.
Yeah, I hear there's a cult for people just like them. What on is that a target ban?
Yeah, I did just mention that Uncomfortably Numb have played Valera. I don't recall what comp they played it in, but maybe Tiny Dancers did even more thorough scouting.
I would hope so.
Yeah, that's fair. My scouting takes like 30 to 45 minutes for a match, but I'm also looking at both teams, where they only have the one team to scout.
That feels bad because I've looked for a total of 30 to 45 seconds on Hero's profile to see what's going down. So, you know, prepared, am I right?
Yep. Thank you, Xcathon X Io Oya and June Overkill for the follows. I really appreciate it. That is both my favorite and least favorite part about streaming, is trying to pronounce Twitch chat names.
It's
So we haven't really talked too much about the draft so far, other than
what now?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean it's standard though. I mean, if you could pick 7 heroes right now, there's not much more standard than what's occurred right now. It's Joe Costa, Deckard, all great heroes. There's ETC, and then you got Kale, Lucio, and Raynor, all pretty standard. Like nothing spicy's popped out yet.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's like not only are they common heroes, they're common heroes for these teams even.
Yeah. Yep. So
Imperius is a bit further down there on the Uncomfortably Numb roster, but not unheard of by any means. And same with Jaina.
Yep. 4 games played on Imperius according to my mouse over, and 3 on the Maryland Jaina. I think Varian's interesting. They did this throughout the season.
It's going to be a taunt variant too.
Yeah, of course. It's 2 tanks, because that's the minimum number of tanks Tiny Dancers drafts in every single composition, it seems.
Hey, Arthas is a bruiser now, okay?
And so is Zool, yet they drafted 2 of them. And that makes both of them tanks.
Yep.
Checkmate. But I think they've been going Varian for the Shattering Throw into Johanna, and a lot of Johannas don't know how to deal with not having their Unstoppable half the time. Like, it's a big deal to have that Unstoppable just completely ripped off by a Varian 13. So,
you know, ditch array. I couldn't possibly understand what you mean. So hopefully we've got the correct interface going this time. It looks like, I think that we do. Sure does. Excellent. So things should line up nicely this time.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Aliobs. And once again, we have spawning on the left-hand side in the blue trunks, winners of game number 1 and your number 1 seed, the Tiny Dancers, with Fishing Queen playing the Kael'thas, Liddell playing Varian, Materium playing Boostio, Feldroth playing Jim Raynor, and Silver on the signature ETC.
If you can, you might want to make the Tiny Dancer's name just a tiny bit bigger while I introduce our team in the red trunks. On the right, it is Uncomfortably Numb.
Quite tiny, is it not? Yeah, it's gonna stay. It'll get fixed if we have a game number 3. But
fair enough.
It's not something I can adjust super easily at the moment.
That's a good point. We've got Famous on Johanna, Spectre on Imperius, Novus on Cassia, Patches on Deckard, and Kicknaz. They've put in a substitute, and I didn't recognize the name, on Jaina.
Teams saying that the losing team acquires silver after this is over. I don't think silver appreciates that too much, but you know what? We're just gonna have to live with it. Players get traded. It's the way of things.
Well, they will get the. Oh, it's not a fight for the silver medal though in this division.
Yeah, no, it's a fight for silver, the player.
Yeah. Well, that is you know, it be like that sometimes.
It really do. In the bot lane, we have Varian kind of getting bullied a little bit by Novus. The Lucio's going to show up and keep him nice and healthy. Mid lane is 3 heroes for the side of Uncomfortably Numb, but only 1 for the Tiny Dancers. We've got a bit of a 3-hero rotation into the bot lane. Kind of would have rather seen that rotation go over to the camp. But you know what? Putting pressure onto a hero-less Varian is not something I can really complain about too much.
Yeah, I definitely have no faults for the decision to bully Varian pre-level 4. I mean, it's a good thing to do.
Yep. And Raynor having that Executioner is going to make that camp go by very fast. Kiknaz, once he gets that Blizzard cooldown available again, the rest of this camp will fall pretty swiftly as well. Bit of engagement coming into Novus. They're not going to find too much there to keep them relatively topped off, but as Famous and Patches come in, they're going to try and put some damage onto their opponents. But really neither side taking anything particularly significant, just slowly incrementing that party mix.
Oh, there you go. Tick, tick, tick it upward. Other quests and dings include the Prog Rock, the Mana Addict, and the Fingers of Frost, all going for globes. And then the Lion's Maw, definitely indicating the taunt build that has been picked up for Tiny Dancers.
Liddell rotating mid to see if they can try and make something happen with that early heroic that Varian does get, but Uncomfortably Numb were very aware of this and were playing relatively far back. Objective is beginning to spawn in the bottom section of the map, which personally I think favors the right-hand side just a little bit. I think it's the easier place to defend.
Yeah, these objective camps are open to one side and kind of defended on the other side, so there is a little bit of asymmetry in this map design, which I'm sure we'll be hearing about on the forums and on Reddit when somebody loses because of it.
Yep. We didn't mention it in the previous map even a little bit, but Alterac Pass, like Infernal Shrines, is a snow map, so you're seeing heroes get that small shield over time. It, contrary to popular belief, it does scale with level, your team's level specifically.
That's interesting because it, I believe the mouse over always says that it does a flat value, but I forget.
On the observer interface, it will show a flat value while it's active if you are just not selecting anything. If you select either team and then scroll over, it'll show you their shield amount.
Ah, fascinating information.
Yeah. So the next time that you're in control of the observer interface, you will be able to provide that information for people.
Oh, why, thank you so much. All right,
Both teams have their 7s available.
We have the same thought, Ektar.
We sure do. It's almost like we do this from time to time. Both teams having a hero get kind of caught out. Novus is going to blow up. Materium is going to escape his gank. So, First Blood going over in favor of the Tiny Dancers. They've also got a camp pushing mid as well, so things are really all coming up in their favor right now.
Yeah, they're probably going to be able to get this first objective at least started up. It looks like Imperius is in a lot of trouble. Spectre going to spear deliver a bomb over to Famous. Famous is going to be able to walk away, but without the unstoppable, Imperius is not. So the timer will start ticking for this camp in favor of Tiny Dancers.
Extremely tiny disappointment in the mid lane as Jaina let a globe disappear right next to her. Novus went in kind of by themselves, is going to get caught out and slid unto death by that ETC. Tons of healing coming out from Patches, but just a little bit too late. That is the counterplay to Ruby. It is a slow ability to get healing out. Like, not only does it take some time for the W to go out and activate, and then the potions have to spawn, and then you have to pick them up. So yeah, it's a ton of healing, but you kind of need to do it a little earlier than you do for almost any other healing ability in the game.
That is, it's a good assessment of Ruby, I believe, because that is one of its struggles, is that a team fight can develop in a different position. than when the ruby goes down, which makes it somewhat hard to pick up at times.
Yeah, not only that, but it's almost completely worthless against heavy crowd control burst, because the rubies don't spawn on top of the heroes. You have to move to get it. If you can't move because you're, taunted and stunned again, then it doesn't heal anything.
Yeah, that is very true. So, yeah, every team, both teams actually, splitting the same number of heroes to each lane. So we've got Spectre against Veldroth in top, a 3v3 in the mid, and then Novus versus Silver in the bottom.
Yeah, we've got almost a full level lead coming out at the end of that for the side of Tiny Dancers.
Yep, but quite impressively, there's not even fort damage in any lane against Uncomfortably Numb. I say that Hyperion's used. You can't dodge that one, but as far as the objective is concerned, there's no fort damage actually dealt for that objective phase, so good defense coming out from Uncomfortably Numb.
Yeah, and both teams kind of acknowledging the damage that they got wasn't a ton, the damage that they sustained wasn't a ton, so they're just going to back out, take camps if they've got them, and otherwise just go back to soaking the lane.
Yep, that is true, and I have confirmed that I can in fact see that change now,
yeah.
Swapping between the two teams, so that's quite interesting, and the observer interface has the level 1 or 0 value.
It sure does. And you know what, we're just going to go ahead and show that on stream too, because why not? 224 at level 1, the red side before they pick up level 2, 11 is 3, 3, 2, and then as they hit level 11, 3, 4, 5.
Science. That is something I genuinely didn't know, so I'm glad I've learned something during this cast.
Yep. We're at almost the awkward phase of Ultrac Pass where neither team really has enough of an advantage to go push a boss down or anything, although it looks like they're trying to on the side of the Tiny Dancers. And there's the engage coming into the mid lane onto Liddell, who's going to be able to walk away because they're protected by the Waverian. So Tiny Dancers might just get away with this boss for nothing.
That would be crazy. And it takes Lucio and Jimmy a long time, but they are able to do it, and with the rotation down from Liddell and Silver just being nearby, they did it, and now they've got a boss pushing during objective. The timing on it could not have been better.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for the side of Uncomfortably Numb to manage this situation. Patch is trying to get the early channel, but between the Fishing Queen and that one minion, it's not going to be able to happen. They do get the channel now. And ETC splits out, makes this into a 5 vs 4. Cassia in the bot lane, and Deckard Cain is likely going to be the first to fall here. Protected by the way, keeping very nice and healthy. The NGS came out, tried to hit on a Fishing Queen, is going to miss. A big stay a while is going to put 3 people under. Oh, but Silver's going to get a huge slide, finds Patches, and the taunt comes out, gets that kill. Spectre gets booped back by Lucio and is likely going to be the next to fall. They are. Cassia is still in the bot lane trying to clear that boss who's got in the fort. And a really strong usage of the stage dive coming in there to make that into a 5 vs 4. Along with the boss pushing in bot lane. Yeah,
that was a really solid engagement with Stage Dive. My favorite ETC ultimate. Please at me. Actually, don't. I'll get a lot of things from that. But when you're running ETC and Variant as tanks, as Tiny Dancers do in many scenarios, you have ultimate flexibility. So that's pretty good. Famous goes in and gets that Joe shield just absolutely ripped off of her. And that's making this engagement very difficult as the timer ticks below 3 seconds.
Yeah, they're trying to do the desperation last second channel. But with enough splash damage, it looks like the objective is going to go in favor of the Tiny Dancers since they also ripped the life out of Jaina. Jimmy is pretty low as well, but Johanna is going to have the shield ripped off the manual way. Spectre is the next to fall. Deckard gets the stay wild that's going to allow Peeling for Novus and Famous to get out of there, but that is going to be the second objective going over in favor of the Tiny Dancers, and this one's going to put a lot of pressure out.
Yeah, it sure is. In that last fight, I saw that 3 heroes were trying to, like, all juggle the channel and try and make it work. All while that was going on, Fishing Queen actually just got put on the Cassia Valkyrie and got pulled all the way to the front, and nobody shot at the Kilthos. And I mean, it do be like that, and that's when your team has to decide whether you want to fight or try and just get the objective. Because I think that could have been a dead kill.
Yep. And using the advantage that they got in the bottom lane, pushing that down, they're going to be able to secure top lane. And look to see Tiny Dancer's position around that top boss as this top objective goes down. It will, because the top is the last one to go down, this is going to be maybe a defense that Uncomfortably Numb can take. They can see ETC out on the map, but as we've seen, this doesn't really matter at all. And yeah, they are going to at least try to look here, and it looks like they're not even taking boss yet. They're just baiting it. Famous goes in, pops the D-shield, gets ripped off by the Shattering Throw. Patches pops the stay while, but it gets left on by Silver, and the Wrath of Angeris comes out, and Famous is the first to fall. Johanna just used to that unstoppable, but it gets taken away by Varian so easily. Imperius is going to be the next to fall, and it is a full-on retreat from the side of Uncomfortably Numb. The bait was successful, and they're going to turn around and just take the 2 kills that they had and cash in a boss for it.
Yeah, that was a, I think MVP of that fight goes out to Materium for the ridiculously well-timed sound barrier. So there's an Imperius ultimate, Wrath of Angeris, that comes out, hits Gem Raynor, and the sound barrier came out right as he hit the ground, and that was very important because Jaina perfectly timed a Ring of Frost and a Blizzard on top of that, which was going to do immense damage, but it did it all to the shield. So really well done by Materium to keep his team alive, specifically the Gem Raynor, through that fight.
Yeah, and it's hard to survive a full Jaina combo as a stunned Gem Raynor, so really well done by both teams. You know, the one for getting the full combo correctly, and the other one for countering it so beautifully.
Yep, and that's going to confer a 2 and some change level advantage over to the Tiny Dancers. They are up level 16 as this objective is spawning, up 9-0 in kills, showing very, really a strong performance here on Alterac Pass, the map that they chose.
Yeah, and they're continuing to put ETC in the top lane to just continue to apply pressure and soak, and a little bit also, like, there's a lot of layers here. It forces someone to have to deal with it, but then he just stage dives in and makes it into a 5 versus 4. Like, I feel like a lot of times the ETCs that take stage dive just don't split enough. We do have a little 5 versus 4 coming in before the ETC gets here, but the disengage is good enough for the rest of the Tiny Dancers that Uncomfortably Numb don't find anything other than securing up the channel and getting themselves to 16.
Yep, they do have the level 16, so they do have the capability to take a relatively even fight. I say relatively as there is a good bit of scaling that is helping out. Shattering Throw again goes and cleans out Famous's shield and causes a full retreat of the tank line. Sound Barrier comes out earlier this time, so Gem Raynor going to be eliminated first in this fight. Ring of Frost doesn't land on anybody, but I don't think it's that important. Silver, rooted by the Deckard Cain and taken out. And finally, we've got some life in Uncomfortably Numb. They take a 2-kill advantage in this fight.
That is the downside of playing the split soak ETC with stage dive play. Sometimes you're just not there fast enough, and your opponents are able to take that 5 versus 4, and that's what we saw there. Like, ETC, he stage dived in eventually.
Yeah, but it unfortunately wasn't enough. Little finger wag from the Jimmy spray, of course. That's a good high tier spray overall. I like it.
Yeah.
So, yep. With 30 seconds left on this timer and about 17 seconds on the ETC, about 10 seconds difference. There will be stage dive available before this objective is finished. So it looks like, based on the positioning of Tiny Dancers, they do want to re-engage this before it ends.
And Uncomfortably Numb being very smart, they split Cassia out for a little bit, but they have to bring her back so that they can make a defense here on this point. The stage dive comes out immediately, lands onto Patches. Big stun comes out onto the Spectre as well. Famous is very low. I don't think they have D-Shield available, and they go down. The beat drop came out. I don't know if it prevented a whole lot of damage, but it definitely meant that they weren't going to take damage. They're trying to chase down Spectre, but not committing to it too hard, and you know what? That's probably fine. Imperius can definitely put the hurt into Lucio. Oh man, and only 1.3 seconds left on that objective for the side of Uncomfortably Numb. You hate to see it. And they're even going to start bottom boss. This is a lot of moving parts that they're picking up right now, but because their opponents have backed out so far and they're taking their own camp, they can just kind of do it.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot for their money here, with objectives pushing down keeps in every lane, and a boss pushing in bottom, and level 20 very near on the horizon, especially if they get a kill, which they do not.
Yeah, smart spear out for the Imperious there. Ooh,
Yep.
and a spear comes out and is going to blow up Fishing Queen. Really well done. The Wrath of the Jir is going to come and hit Lucio as well. No sound barrier available. They're going to get killed as well. And that is going to... It's not going to neuter this push because the boss and the objectives in all three lanes are still going to do some damage, but man, it took a lot of the wind out of the sails.
That sure did. What a clutch play there by Uncomfortably Numb. That was necessary. That was a great combo. Valkyrie's kind of hard to hit, so they dropped the Blessed Shield to get Kale and the frontline stunned, so the Valkyrie would guarantee hit the Kael'thas, who is then brought forward and completely removed from the game. So really, really well done. And they're not going down without a fight at minimum, but I can see Uncomfortably Numb's ability to maybe turn this around.
Yeah, I want to shout out in particular Kiknaz. Not only did that whole CC combo that you said was great, but also Jaina knew exactly where that Ring of Frost needed to go to combo with the Valkyrie. Valkyrie is not an ult that you see comboed off of very often. So really, and that was what was necessary to prevent the Lucio from trying to escape there. Just an incredible CC train for the side of Uncomfortably Numb.
Yeah, I want to see him do it like 2 or 3 more times and be able to really find their way back in. Famouso taken out very quickly. Barrier is available and used. No, that is not barrier used. It is...
That is Snow Shield.
That is Snow Shield. Oh my goodness. Blizzard, so strong.
Oh man. There's too many Blizzards in this game now. There's Blizzard the company, there's the fact that it's snowing on this map, and there's 2 basic abilities named Blizzard. Blizzard.
Blizzard!
Yeah. I've been saying this all season. I like Varian against Johanna. Johanna players are just too used to having their Unstoppable available, and Varian rips it off of them. Wrath of Angira is coming out, hitting onto the Varian, but protected, by the way, is going to get him nice and out of there. This mid keep is going to get fought over, is not going to go down quite yet. We do have the 20s getting picked up at some point there for the side of Uncomfortably Numb. We're going to look at those as well. I love Radiant Faith, man. What a great talent.
Oh my god, it's insane. Like, if you think Blessed Shield stuns for a total of 3 seconds with the 1.5 initial, 2 bounces for 0.75, all targets can be hit. 5 targets can be hit for 2 seconds. You go from 3 seconds of stun to 10 seconds of stun. Talent is insane.
Very much is. Famous going in for a hard engage is going to find the Blessed Shield and into the Root from Deckard onto Fishing Queen, but they do get themselves out the mana barrier and the break it down. Fishing Queen still very low, getting charged up by Spectre. Varian's in the backline doing damage into Novus, but Fishing Queen is the first to fall there. Materium not quite able to keep them topped off. We've got the Valkyrie come out hitting onto Varian. Liddell is going to be the next to follow here, and this game has been won and lost on Shattering Throw. I don't feel like that's an exaggeration to say. Shattering Throw is off cooldown. Famous dies when he tries to engage. Shattering Throw is on cooldown. Famous gets into the back line, hits a giant Blessed Shield, and follows up with CC.
Yep.
It's a bit of an exaggeration to say, but it's not that much of an exaggeration.
It's like a warm take. It's not a hot take because it's actually kind of accurate in a major way, but it's not entirely it. So, with all of the base keeping that Uncomfortably Numb is doing right now, they have lost temporarily about half their core's health due to the boss and everything else. And they are going to be able to pick up the objective now that everybody's reconvened and made it into an advantageous position for them. But, boy, these lanes
pick up their camp, which is going to further reduce the power of this objective coming up. But it's what, the 4th objective? 3rd objective?
3rd objective?
It's a
man.
late objective, so it's going to have a lot of potential behind it. The taunt comes out onto Patches. A lot of other R buttons pressed as well. A ton of damage. Deckard Cain is likely going to be the first to fall. Here is going to fall, but does have a fair number of potions on the ground there, so he's able to provide healing. Oh my god, that Death Mosh.
That Death Mosh, Ektar. There was a Flame Strike on top of it as it went off, and I think that Death Mosh has secured the death of Uncomfortably Numb this game, famous with the acknowledgement. And yeah, pretty much. Sometimes that's that's what it comes down to.
Seems like Silver had it in mind, was tactically planning his death location. Novus is going to get taken out in the core defense, and that is going to be the 2-0 in favor of the Tiny Dancers. But you know what? It was a close 2-0, and it feels weird to say that sometimes, but I really think it applies here.
Yeah, that was, the game started out very one-sided, 9-0 in kills, but if you look after 16, 9-9 in kills, we got treated to a very nice set between these two teams, but it is Tiny Dancers coming out on top, 2-0.
GG, and well played.
Okay, Baja.
Oh man, I can't wait to watch Baja after the stream is over, I'm not gonna lie.
He's been excited for the last,
Is that bad that I'm excited to finish my stream to watch somebody else's?
I've done it before, but it's funnier because it's even a VOD of his stream.
Is he done streaming? I was hoping to be quick enough now.
No, he is actually still doing it.
Excellent. Alright, checking out the summary screen. Lucio pumping out quite a fair bit of healing, especially because of the Rejuvenescia onto the double beefy front line. Just providing a ton of value in those beat drops landing at critical moments. Deckard Cain putting out very respectable healing as well. Cassia actually winning in the damage at the end of the game there, but not really overcoming the combined power of Kilthas and Raynor.
Yeah, and it's hard to beat the combined power of Deed Flame Strike into the Death Mosh. That did so much work at the end of the game, but really well played on both ends here.
Yeah, and we're going to see if we can get an interview just as soon as I look up who the captain is, because I can't remember who joined me during the map pick selection process. There we go. Found it.
Yep, I think it's yeah. So good set overall. Looking seen a couple rounds of Tiny Dancers now between beating other teams.
Yeah,
they're looking good.
They're looking good. Really clean. So let's hop up into lobby 3 so we can meet up with Feldroth.
Sounds like a plan.
Hey.
Hey, congratulations on your 2-0 victory.
Thank you so much.
So, I'm going to give you the most typical caster question first. How do you and the team feel right now?
Oh, we feel so good. This is going to be our first time in the finals, so we're really excited.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a good feel to be in the Coastal Finals. We've been there once, and it's really a cool match to be a part of. So congratulations for getting there.
Yeah, thank you so much. We had Murda's stream open with the other game in our division, and that one, Die for Vision, the 7th seed just beat Rainbow Rotation. So this is going to be a 3rd seed versus 7th seed final. It's going to be very exciting.
Well, yeah, both the 7th and the 6th seeds won their first round matches against the 2nd and 6th team. So really interesting shakeout coming out of B West or B East.
Absolutely.
Sorry. All right, so looking at the way that the drafts went, it looks like both teams really were doing their homework. How'd you prepare for playing up against Uncomfortably Numb, who you did initially beat 2-1 in the regular series?
Yeah, so we considered them a whole new team coming into the playoffs because they had Spectre, which was kind of, a self-proclaimed by them ringer. So, and he has some really good characters that he plays, he or she. And so Spectre was changed in our whole perspective. Plays a really great Alarak, so we just nipped that in the bud and banned it first every match. We actually talked for like 20 or 30 minutes today as a team just about like how we wanted the draft strategy to go, and props to Uncomfortably Numb, because we were, there was tons of options and tons of possibilities. So we were definitely in a place where we had to be thinking on our feet. But we felt really comfortable. We knew they had some tank preferences, so we wanted to take those away. Priority being not letting them have ETC or Johanna when we were first pick, and then forcing them on a tank they weren't used to. So that was kind of our strategy, both drafts.
And they ended up on Blaze, and they did get Johanna in game number 2. But yeah, I think the Blaze was maybe not their first choice in that first game.
Definitely wasn't. Their most played tanks are Arthas, then ETC, then Mal'Ganis, and those are really it. So we took those 3 away, 2 with the ban, 1 with the pick, and forced them on something they weren't maybe as used to practicing. So
I believe I mentioned this in the last time that I interviewed you for a post-game interview, but what's with the Arthas play?
We love Arthas, man. He's a really great counter dive tank, and so his biggest weakness is similar to some other tanks in that his tankiness gains throughout the game, but it doesn't start strong. So you have to take fights really passively and just let them have stuff early game, and the farther and farther you get, his tankiness just kind of has an exponential curve. So we really like the lockdown it gives. Really great to Cassia, because anything that makes her stand still just makes her way easier to take down. And they have a tendency to play really aggressive teams, and Arthas controls that really well. So we were able to make sure that if Arthas was the one getting beat up, then Rhaegar could focus his attention on him, and once we hit 10, that gives him the sustain he needs. But calculated pick, mostly the anti-dive is probably the best answer.
I will say it worked out very well in that game number 1 against the Cassia in particular. We noted every time she fended, there was a root under her, followed by
right.
at least 1, often 3 more crowd control effects. And a lot of teams are just banning out the Cassia. It's interesting watching a team let it go through, let their opponents have it, and then just dealing with it.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a watching Spectre play. Really great player. Plays super well on the Valera, which is not one you see every day. Super well in the Alarak, and played the Cassia a couple times, but plays really, really aggressively. And so once again, as like a counter dive, she's like a ranged assassin that plays in melee range. So she's really weak to characters like Deckard, characters like Arthas, anyone that can lock her down in like the flip of a switch. I played Vala just so that I could follow up and keep her still for longer. And it was a really good counter to her like fending me or diving me, because she has some point and click in that regard. So our whole comp was just designed around let's keep people as still as possible for as long as possible.
Sounds good. And then for game number 2, you had map pick. Why Alterac Pass?
We've loved Alterac Pass all season, and they've won some games on Alterac. I think they have a 100% win rate over 2 games on it, but we really love the macro play. We really feel like we understand the map, and we kind of calculated them, let them have Johanna. They'd said quite a few times that they think Johanna's the best tank in the game, so we were kind of just waiting until they had first pick and then picked the variant, and just many times throughout that match we just melted the Joe.
Yeah, I've been saying all season that I'm liking Varian against Johanna as soon as level 13 hits, because Johanna players are so, like, Johanna and Deathwing players are just used to being able to get away with things that no one else can get away with.
That's exactly right.
And Varian, with that Shattering Throw, doesn't let Johanna get away with the things that she's used to, and positions that are normally safe become unsafe, and plays that you can normally make, you can't make.
Yeah. It's kind of a lose-lose situation for Johannas, because they either play like they're used to, and that play works against them at 13, or they play really passively and don't get the value that you kind of depended on in your draft with Johanna. You depend a lot on that aggressiveness, and that wasn't available to them once we started being able to melt Johanna when she's on an island. So we did that a lot.
Yeah, I really like the mind games that came out in your drafting strategy. Really well thought out and pre-prepared. I like it.
Thank you very much.
I think the last game-related question that I have for y'all is, now that it's been a few weeks, how much does the maps Nexus Anomaly pay into your thought process on maps or hero picks?
None at all. I have no idea which climate is going on and which map. And honestly, I've been like crossing my fingers every day that they'll release a hotfix and just take it away, because it's the worst thing they've ever done to the game since the beginning of HOTS. In my opinion.
HGC cancellations stand aside. We have snow.
I'll say it might be it. It's not the worst thing they've done, but it's maybe the worst thing that they've done intentionally.
It's okay. Yeah, I'll grant that. I'm so annoyed at this. It's the only thing that's made me want to stop playing this game. It's so bad. I just the random element takes away a lot of the pre-planning, and I guess the only one that's like truly that direction is the rain with the movement speed and the AOE. I just really don't like the them taking away predictable elements that moved away from strategic play, because I think that it works really great in quick match, and it was a thing designed for quick match. But I think the best way to play this game is in coordinated play, and it's a detriment to that environment. So I disagreed with the implementation completely, but I'll deal with it.
All right.
Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll flip on it. Maybe we'll start to actually know like which climate goes with which maps and take that into account. But I don't know. No promises.
All right. And then, not related to this series in particular, but you said that Die for Vision won on the other side of the bracket, so what do you have to say to them right now?
Man, kudos to them. They've been great teams all season. There was, like, we played against them early on. They took a game off of us. They're super strong competitors. We've really liked the way they've played, and they've been giant killers the whole time. That's kind of the nickname for them. It's just because they take games and series off top teams, and then we don't know what happens, and they lose to bottom teams. So they really rise to the level of their competition, and you can see that in their high seed plays all game. So they've had great attitudes the whole time. I'm really excited for the series, and win lose, it's been a great season. So I can't wait to play them.
Awesome. So that's all that I have. Ace, do you have anything?
No, not particularly. I was wondering if the Vala 7 was a misclick for you guys to go with the repeating arrow. Yeah. It can be burst damage, but I usually see Death Dealer on full auto attack, so I'm curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could have gone Death Dealer. I've actually been switching to that at 7 with auto attack build Vala recently, just because I played her really aggressively, and I dived into like the Tassadar quite a bit, and with those extra just like random things going with the extra Q damage, I felt like it gave me more burst than just that single extra auto attack crit would have. And I didn't want to do it into like a Cassie or something where she could land that blind and get that damage off a little bit. So it was just like a preference pick at the end. Plus, I felt like if there was ever a situation where we had just a few more minions on the objective that we needed clearing, I could get 2 like random shots off that would do more damage, particularly than me trying to dive in low. So I also, final thing, I think it helped me clear the Punisher quicker because I could maintain my auto attacks the whole time and have 2 Qs on it. So kind of a series of rationale that may all be incorrect, but it worked out pretty well. So
cool. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it.
All right, so we're going to give it back to you for any other shout-outs that you want to give.
Okay, well, shout out to Uncomfortably Numb. They've been the team that we've stressed about the draft with more than any other so far this season, and we really appreciate that. It's I think the best part of the game is the draft because it's the most like chess. So kudos to them. Great play tonight. We really appreciated it. Shout out to Die for Vision, who has made it all the way to the finals. We look forward to playing against them. Shout out to you guys for casting. We really always appreciate it, especially on a Thursday night when everyone is playing NGS that lives. So we appreciate that. Shout out to my team. Oh, go ahead.
You knocked us out. There is no... You knocked me out on Durton's couch. I have to go cast now.
That was our strategy the whole time.
No more games for me to go play.
we're like, well, if we knock him out now, then he'll cast us later. So I guess we got to win.
It's true. The later in the season you're able to stick around, the more likely you are to get cast. I've never
That's
seen a grand
true.
finals not get cast.
That's true. That's true. Shout outs to my team for keeping their heads in the game. We've been practicing a lot and really been focusing, locking it down when we need to, and not getting any fatigue. So we appreciate that. And then finally, we always give a shout out to our families for listening to us shout in the other room, like incessantly, for random things that no one understands. And that's always convenient. Also, no one else does loud things in the rooms that we're in because it helps us all focus. So that's quite a big sacrifice for some people, and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
my fiance right now is actually on her tablet in another part of the house right now.
good, you're good. That's quality. That's respect from many directions, and I like that.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I try to do the same for her when she's doing stuff online.
Perfect. That's great.
All right, well, thank you for coming by. Good luck in the rest of your season.
Yeah, thank you both so much. We really appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Jeez.
All right, GG's.
All right, that was a fun one.
Yeah, it was.
Like there are definitely 2-0s that you're like, you have to kind of hype up after the fact or even during, as still being good. But that was a legitimately good match, even though it was a 2-0.
Yep. Agree.
But
Agree. All right.
that's about it for us tonight. We're gonna.
There's
Gonna
Mark Zombie and D.
We're going with D because I see that they're just starting in game number 2. Plus, I love both of those teams, and I really want them to do well in the rest of the season. So yeah, gonna get the raid started. Hitting the start raid button, which means it'll be 20-ish seconds until we can actually start the raid. But thank you all for coming by. Thank you for the couple of people that gave us follows during the stream. I really appreciate it. Go say hi in D Hot's chat, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.